Just days after Christmas, home with my family. An ambulance takes me to the hospital. I ended up being fine. Or was I asked myself. From the outside looking in, everything seemed good. I was the mother of 2 amazing boys, had a terrific, successful husband, a big house. I threw great dinner parties, volunteered at school, practiced yoga, meditation, and being generous was a high priority in my heart. Simply put, I wore my mask well. My version of generosity was coming at a price. Giving meant getting, and yes, it didn't truly mean yes. Are you familiar with that kind? The conditional kind? The one you say it and you instantly feel it in your stomach? You feel a sense of dread, but you just smile and continue. My version of generosity had the currency of righteousness, resentment, and victimhood. And in many ways, it felt more like a competition of who was going to do more for each other. There was a sense of emptiness and exhaustion. That panic attack woke me up. My way of being and giving wasn't sustainable. And it wasn't until my 40s that I discovered that generosity isn't just about giving. It's also about receiving. And when we are courageous with our generosity, we feel alive and connected. Anthony taught me about generosity that's bigger. I mean the kind of generosity that generates deep connection and asks you to be bigger than you even know yourself to be. He lives in Nairobi, Kenya, and I said yes to a program that links brand new yoga teachers from Kenya with mentors from around the world. I experienced yes differently this time. I was out of my comfort zone. I felt excited, scared, and I began asking new questions like, who am I to be mentoring a yoga teacher in Kenya? What do I have to offer? We're so different. I came up with a mantra during that time, whenever fear paralyzed me or I doubted myself. It's not about me. It's bigger. Saying it was my way of getting myself out of the way and serving a higher intention. Each month, Anthony and I connected for 1 hour on Skype. My job as his mentor was to develop and deepen his journey as a yoga teacher. He was 19 at the time. He had just come off the streets from stealing and dealing drugs. He had lost his father to alcoholism and his mother to AIDS. I remember our first call. We just spent most of our time trying to understand one another. His English was rough, and my Swahili was non-existent. And vulnerably, we instantly connected. We knew from that first call that our relationship was about serving something bigger than each of us. It was about bringing unity and peace and freedom to our communities through yoga. Anthony showed up on each call, hungry to receive my mentoring, and I gave him everything that I could from my heart. His receptivity lit up my generosity. And I often left the calls thinking, who's mentoring who here? I realized that when we allow ourselves to receive from our giving, the supply that we have to give is limitless. We feel alive, and we discover a deeper sense of connection to our true nature as human beings. Anthony was unstoppable. His courage and his commitment to not letting fear stop him anywhere in his life transformed me. His courage gave me courage. His commitment to giving to his community through yoga encouraged me to do the same. Generosity is so powerful. It has a way of rippling out and inspiring more generosity. So later that year, I said yes to going to Kenya for my first service trip. My friends and family questioned my decision. Why in the world would I go to Kenya? They thought it was dangerous. I had 2 kids. Could I leave them with my husband for 2 weeks? They were just 5 and 8. I questioned my decision, and still the mantra, it's not about me, it is bigger. My yes continued until my husband and my boys were driving me to the airport, and my husband received a call that his father had just lost his battle to cancer. Immediately, we turned around the car and went home, and I said, I'm canceling the trip. After 24 hours of tears, pain, and lots of conversation with him and his family, whose only words were, you have to go, or we've got this. I received and I went to Kenya. I'll say that it stretched me well beyond my comfort zone to receive their generosity, but I did it. And as I stepped on that plane, I knew that my husband wouldn't have it any differently. It was incredibly generous for him to support me. So receiving generosity can be challenging for many of us. And yet, giving and receiving are 2 sides of the same hand. Once in Kenya, I saw firsthand how maybe my acts of generosity, the mentorship, the time put in at 6 a.m. for our Skypes, was flowing all the way out into Kenya. Anthony's powerful yoga teaching was transforming his students, and I got to be one of them while I was there. We went on to build a school that serves over 200 Maasai children each year. I attended and I taught yoga classes, and I saw the real impact that yoga was having on communities. I made friendships. I met Anthony. But there was more than that. That trip broke my heart wide open. There were heartbreaking moments, witnessing the hunger, the poverty, and in what many circumstances seemed like hopelessness. And there were also moments laced with joy, love, and connection that I had never experienced before. And yet it felt like a homecoming. I realized that when we come together with generosity that's bigger, that serves a higher intention, we effortlessly drop our masks, drop our armor, and we deeply connect with one another. In that, we see that we are more alike than different. We are connected. So we can express generosity in many ways. Generosity that lasts, keeps giving, no strings attached. I believe it's important that we ask ourselves, what gets in the way of our giving and our receiving? What stops us? Stories like, I'm not deserving. I'm not good enough. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. What do I have to offer? I'm too scared. I don't have enough money. It can be really simple. We can give someone our full attention. So when I was growing up, my grandmother was so generous. I used to call her a few times a week, and I would very ungracefully sing, "You light up my life." She would listen to me for hours. And of all the gifts that she gave me growing up, that was the best one that lasted in my heart to this day. Giving someone our full attention is big, now more than ever. So be brave in the way that you extend generosity. Say yes to giving and receiving that's out of your comfort zone. Be big. Remember, it's not about you, it's bigger. Be generous in the way that you share yourself authentically with others, and you will see that we're more alike than different. Be unconditional in your giving, and above all, allow yourself to receive from your giving and from others. Thank you.